Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for the Q&A, so let's go ahead and get this started. Alright, first question. Hey coach, I'm a beginner early on in your 5x5. I just got a physically demanding job that will only last a few months, but I find the job is keeping me from recovering. Should I switch to the cutting version? Would it decrease my progress? Thanks. You need to remember, brother, is what I've said for years and years and years. I wrote this program like 6 years ago and put it out. This program was intended to be a maximum hypertrophy program for people who still have noob gains left, who have an ideal lifestyle, meaning it was intended for people who are in a perfect situation. The cutting version is for people who are not in a perfect situation. Because again, the cutting, meaning a caloric deficit, isn't a perfect situation, right? That's not a perfect situation for muscle growth. So it's intended for people who have at least one major factor that prevents them from having the perfect training, recovery, and growth environment in terms of food, lifestyle, everything else. That's you. You fall in that category. So yeah, run the cutting version. Will it decrease your progress? Do you think overtraining and not recovering is going to give you the best progress? No. So the whole point here is that your physically demanding job, until you adapt to it, is going to interfere with your progress. There's nothing you can do about that. All you can do is maximize the progress you're able to make within that environment, unless you want to just quit that job tomorrow. So if you're not going to do that, and it probably isn't your best choice to do that, follow the cutting version. And remember, you're going to be training within your recovery ability. It is what it is. Physically demanding jobs, until you get used to them, interfere with recovery enormously. They'll interfere with your gains. However, on the back end, people with physically demanding jobs can get away with slightly lower training volume because their actual physical labor contributes a small amount of hypertrophic potential. It gives you a small amount of additional possible training adaptation and workload to your overall training. So it can actually help you in certain ways. You need to look at it from that perspective. But yes, absolutely run the cutting version. All right, next question. Hey Jason, I don't have much time to work out, but got time for 2 days a week training. What is the best routine for twice a week muscle gains for the advanced lifter? It's not necessarily a specific routine for that. What I'm going to say, you need some sort of full body routine in which you squeeze in as much total training workload as you can handle in each of those 2 days. We don't even need to discuss rep ranges, anything else, but you need to focus on big exercises. I'm going to say you need to do at least 5 big exercises. I don't care about what other accessories or isolation you throw in. They may not be necessary. In fact, they might be too much, because if you do enough volume on 5 big compound movements, you're not going to stimulate any additional growth beyond that anyways, most likely. So pick whatever rep set scheme you want to do, whatever progression you want to do, that's fine. Just pick something and run with it. Whatever you're comfortable with based upon your own experience as an advanced lifter, but you're going to need a lot of training volume on big exercises on both those days a week, and that's what you're going to need. They're going to need to be full body, big focus on things like squats, chin-ups, rows, overhead pressing, benching, weighted dips, all that stuff. All right, next question. My daily minimum have been getting progressively harder each day. Most days they feel like an RPE 9.5 to 10. Do you ever feel like you have to drop your minimum and build back up, or do you incorporate the strategies you talked about in the video about the law of accommodation? Thanks for the great content and trading footage. No, you have to do that sometimes. I absolutely did that. I did it on the bench press. Remember, I got to where me doing the 320 bench press every day was getting to be too much. I dropped it back down to 315. With a closed grip, I brought my grip in a couple inches, and I've stayed really, really strong on it since then. It's been just fine. So yeah, you might need to do that sometimes. It might require an adjustment. It might require you to drop your daily minimum 5 pounds or 10 pounds. It might even require you to throw in something else for an accessory or a slight change in the lift. But oftentimes, the simple act of cutting down to an RPE 9 to 9.5 by just dropping a few pounds off the bar will be enough, because you need to remember, training at an RPE 9 every day on a lift, you will eventually get stronger from it. You will eventually get stronger. It's just, you've got to remember that this system can be slow. Sometimes when you first start it, you see really fast gains in strength, and then it tapers down. But if you stick it out in the long term and you're willing to say, okay, there's going to be periods of time where I'm going to spend 6 weeks lifting the exact same weight. And when you get really advanced, you might be spending 6 months with the exact same weight, but you will eventually eventually accumulate the fatigue and get stronger from it. Because at the end of the day, nothing builds strength like high RPE, low rep sets, and singles have the most potential for that. The more heavy singles you can work in, the stronger you're going to tend to get over time. So even if that means sometimes you have to backtrack 5 or 10 pounds in order to handle the frequency itself, then that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do. And at the end of the day, an RPE 9 is an RPE 9, no matter how much weight is on the bar. It's the frequency combined with the intensity that gives you the results on this style of training. And sometimes that's going to mean that you have to slightly reduce the weight to maintain the frequency. But you need to keep in mind, your RPE is still going to be 9 plus, even with the weight decrease. It's what your RPE is at that given time. So hopefully that clarifies that a little better. All right, next question. I did high volume grip work after my training yesterday. Did 3.5 double overhand rack pulls, 195 with fat grips. Today I tried it and could barely do 2 or 3 reps. Should I not do grip work on consecutive days, or will I adapt to it over time? Thank you, brother. Grip work, particularly with any amount of volume on consecutive days, is going to get harder. Balancing recovery on grip work can be tough day to day. There are times that you're going to need to take days off. There are going to be times you can get away with doing it every day. But if you're going to do grip work every day, you are absolutely going to have to limit the volume on it. You're not going to be able to just come in and do tons of volume of grip training. So just keep that in mind. You might want to cut that down slightly, the amount of volume you're doing there. You know what? Even if you only come in and you do 5 of your rack pulls, overhand rack pulls with the fat grips, that'll get it done also. And you know, you don't even necessarily need to do it with rack pulls. Come on, it's 195 pounds. Why are you doing them from a rack? Just pull it off the floor. Come on, Jesus Christ, you don't need to destroy bars. The whole purpose of doing rack pulls for grip training is because you're lifting a weight that's too heavy for you to deadlift off the floor. Right? And 195 pounds, if you're needing specialized grip work, you're probably strong enough that 195 pounds off the floor isn't a problem. Like I can tell you right now, even though I've got safeties and stuff, I do my grip training off the floor. I do my grip training off the floor. Unless I plan on putting 700 pounds on the bar to do pulls with on my safeties, there's no point in that. It's a complete waste. Just do them off the floor, brother. Just a little side caveat there. All right, next question. Hey Jason, thanks for all the advice. Just wondering if you think cardio is okay on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday if I'm doing a 5x5 Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If so, how long in the LISS or miss? Thanks, coach. That's fine. Go ahead and do LISS. It's fine. Do it on your off days. How much should you do? The amount that you can get away with and still recover. If you need to start with 20 minutes a day, start with 20 minutes a day. Build it up to 25, build it up to 30. Whenever it starts interfering with your recovery and ability to progress on the 5x5, cut it down slightly. There's your limit. But you need to build cardio up gradually, very gradually, even LISS cardio when you're incorporating it into an existing strength program. Because if you don't incorporate it very gradually, it will immediately interfere that week with your training. You will start regressing on your big lifts. If you introduce it gradually enough, it won't interfere with your progression. It's as simple as that. All right, next question. What are some ways an intermediate lifter could set up something similar to Bulgarian style training 4 to 5 times per week, wanting to get stronger, more explosive for kickboxing? Thanks for all the great content. No, you come in to do 5 days a week Bulgarian, that's fine. Train to your training maxes. What I would say is that Bulgarian training is all about specificity of training on big exercises. You can do it for general strength by picking enough exercise selection, but you can do it for specific strength also. So let's say you need strength and explosiveness for kickboxing. All right, here's the sort of lifts I would incorporate: front squats, back squats, power cleans, power snatches, push presses, right? You can do deadlifts, you can do other stuff, but here's what I would recommend. Every day do some sort of squat. Every day do some sort of explosive pull from the floor. And then maybe use a push press as a lift that you do every day. So you could do, you know, front squat one day, back squat the next, or you could do back squat all the way through. Do a push press every day, and then do some sort of power clean, power snatch. You can incorporate various Olympic lifts in general into this, right? Any of the Olympic lifts, any sort of clean, snatch, push press, squat, all of those exercises are going to carry over fantastically well to your explosiveness as a kickboxer, right? So focus on those lifts. They're going to help you tremendously, but those shouldn't be optional. The 4 that shouldn't be optional for your goals is going to be a push press, some kind of squat, a snatch, and a clean. Those are going to be absolutely required for your goals if you want to make the Bulgarian work for it. So there you have it. Not saying you can't incorporate other lifts in it, but those need to be your bread and butter. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 2.